Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, doing business and life with a purpose, serving others and achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to learn how to do business and life to make an impact in the world. What impact will you make today? And my guest today is going to talk about impact. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be deep, and it's going to be a very complex subject we talk about, but we talked about in the green room is very important. Jeff, welcome to the show.
And Steve, thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And let's jump into the premise of this is you take on ex-gang members into your home, living with you, and you are mentoring them, father figure. But let's start back. Most people working with gang members used to live that life. You came from a different background. You've never been in a gang. How are you making that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I do see that a lot where most people that are working with current or former gang members did come from that lifestyle. And so they've gotten out of it and they want to give back. And I just don't have that same background. So I grew up in more of a white affluent neighborhood and totally different background from the kids that I get to spend time with now. And I don't have this great answer of this big thing happened where because of that now I work with these kids. I think there's been a lot of stuff that God has just done throughout my life to bring me down this path, and I've had the privilege of being having a lot of different experiences. Some overseas when I lived in East Africa, and that shaped me and my worldview. Having the ability to move into this community that I live in now in Northeast Denver in a gang affiliated neighborhood, that has really shaped me. And so I think the other thing that we've got this commonality where a lot of these kids who are in gangs and pursue gangs is there's a really deep desire of feeling worthless. And so no one runs to a gang, they're really running away from something else. And so I think that's maybe our commonalities, man. I've felt that feeling before as well of not feeling worthy. And so I think that's really our common ground, even though everything else, we look different, we have different backgrounds, we talk different, different cultures, but I know what it feels like to not feel worthy. And so I think that's our common ground.
How do you build trust and authority in this gang member community? I've watched films, I've watched TV series, I know they're glorified, but we kind of have an image of that. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. How are you doing?
Yeah, it is over a long period of time. It is not one of those. It's not easy to just kind of be trusted in any new environment. Anywhere you go, it takes time for people, especially if you have a different background and look different, for people to start trusting you. I think one of the things I fight against is everyone assumes I'm a cop. They look at me, I somehow have this persona of being a cop, and so that is what I have to fight right away. Is no, I'm not a cop. But some of the things I've done is just really pursue my community. I start coaching basketball in my neighborhood, and so that gives me some sort of connection to the community, and then I get to work with the kids on my team and get to know their parents and their families. Working with other nonprofits and organizations like Boys and Girls Club and Young Life in my neighborhood, and so that has helped. But other things is I live right near this rec center, which is kind of the hub of the Bloods gang, and I would park on one side of the uh, block and walk to this rec center. And in between that walk, I would walk past the kind of the hub of where they meet and have their gang meetings and stuff. And I spent a year parking an extra block away so that I had to walk past this area every single day, and until people finally started to get to know me and start to trust me. And then they knew me from coaching that right in the rec center right next to it. And so it's just a slow process to build trust. But then, man, once you're in, you're in. You get to have this really deep, intimate relationship with these guys.
I'm glad you told that story because it's been on my mind before this show because it's amazing to me. You really force the trust and authority issue in a sense by being in front of them daily or weekly.
Yeah, it doesn't happen naturally, right? You just don't see that very often of especially in kind of our polarized world today of different cultures and backgrounds and races having close relationship. It doesn't happen organically. You've got to pursue it. And so in this neighborhood in particular, I've just spent the last 10 years pursuing it and building a relationship with these guys, showing up for places, being there. There's, little league games and football and basketball stuff. And I'm just being there. And, I know kids on the team and go to support their games. And then the parents get to see me, and you're just be there for a long period of time until you can kind of break into the community.
And I want to put this out there, audience. Jeff is doing this volunteer. This is not his business. This is a servant attitude that I want people to get, which is why I wanted Jeff on the show, because it's important to me. It's a true servant. But let's dive into the other servant part, which I love, bringing sports in. I'm a big sports guy. How has basketball helped you with authority, trust, and building relationships?
It has helped me tremendously. I've really seen how God's used that to kind of bridge the gap between kind of two different people groups. Of this is an activity that these kids love. Basketball and football is kind of the number one and number two sports that these kids are playing. And I grew up playing basketball, played a lot of basketball, coached basketball, and so that has been this way where I can connect with somebody, and you don't need any of this other background to be the same, or you don't need to have these shared experiences, man. You just go play 3-on-3 or go play 21 or go play 5-on-5, and you start building connection. And by the grace of God, I can still dunk. And so I can dunk on these kids. And then they finally are like, wait, what was your name again? And then that's how you can start to build trust and rapport. And so that's been a huge benefit. And then the other thing is, when you're a coach, you then now kind of have some sort of title and authority. And even though I'm the same person, whether I got a coach title or I don't, then it just helps me to have some sort of context to who I am, instead of this random dude that's like mentoring in the neighborhood. It's like, oh no, he's my basketball coach, and I say, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. Sometimes titles are a good thing. I want to ask you, walking by this gang headquarters, how did you handle the fear? And did you have fear?
Yeah, there's some fear, but it's maybe not the fear you would think. A lot of times it's more of fear of rejection, or fear of putting yourself out there, being vulnerable. It's not fear of getting hurt. Um, for many reasons. Ultimately, these kids and young men, like I truly believe they have the same heart that we do. They are just human beings that need to be loved and cared for, but their life experience has shaped them to pursue a different lifestyle at the moment because they haven't been filled up by love and connection enough. And so I get to know that because I've gotten to know these kids really, really well, and I get to know this tough stuff that they've gone through and these traumas that they've experienced and everything. And so when you get to know kids in that way, when you're walking by them, I mean, yeah, they have face tattoos and they got the gang flags and they got the guns and all this stuff, but it's like, man, I know your heart and I know who you really are, and you have no desire to, harm me or hurt me or whatever. Like, that's just not, you don't want that. And so getting to see who the real heart is, takes that kind of fear totally away. And then it's just the fear of, all right, am I going to fumble over my words and look like a fool trying to, come up and talk with these guys or something? But, then that goes away too.
Well, that's a powerful message. I love how you said that. Different types of fear. And you weren't fear for your life. You were just fear that you could make this connection to serve them, and how you were going to do that. And that's probably a good case in a lot of scenarios, not all, but a lot of scenarios, even in this one, because I'm thinking, I don't know if I could do it. I'd be fearful, but that's normal. It's not a bad thing. I'm thinking that. So let's jump into this. So this is all great, Jeff. Your basketball, your mentoring, your coaching, but you took it to the next servant level. This next step is amazing to me. You're now bringing these kids living with you. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a huge blessing for me. And I think the value I'm seeing in that is when I get to spend time mentoring these kids and I'm seeing them maybe once or twice a week, and we're getting dinners and we're hanging out, we're playing basketball, we're working out, and I get to have these great conversations and I get to learn more about their lives. But when they're coming actually into my home and being a part of my family with me and my wife, I just get to see a lot more transformation. These are kids who've never experienced parents being married. They've never experienced kind of family dinners or rules and accountability. I mean, even just fun things of like teaching them how to cook spaghetti. Like they just have never done that. And these are, a lot of them are 19, 20-year-old kids. And so that's been a huge blessing for us. We got two boys living with us right now. I'm in my office, which behind me is actually now a bed set up on the floor because we ran out of space to have these boys. So it's my office sometimes, but it's mostly this other young man's room. And so that's just been a real blessing to be able to integrate them into our lives and then really get to know them and hopefully have a positive impact on showing them love.
Yeah. And the added component is you have a wife. And it
Yeah,
takes a village to do this. In your case, it's you and your wife.
yeah.
How did you work with that? Because you come home and say, honey, I'm gonna bring home two ex-gang members, black boys that are gonna live with us, and we're gonna teach them family life. How's that work?
Yeah, she is just amazing. She's a wonderful host and this just loving motherly figure, which there's this huge uh, problem in the world, but Black culture in particular, of fatherlessness. And so I get to be able to help support in that role. But there's also a huge need for being mothered and being cared for in an appropriate and right way. And so to be, when I was doing this before I got married, I was able to only kind of show what it looked like to kind of be a man or to be a father figure, be a mentor. But now I get to model being a husband also, and then my wife gets to model being a wife and being a mother. And so it's actually been a huge benefit to the ministry. And then I've got a partner to do this kind of stuff with, whether it's, hey, this person needs to get driven to this job interview, or so and so's coming home late tonight, he says, so I'll stay up, you go to bed, or whatever. So I've got a partner to do all this stuff with, and that's been really great.
It helps so much. And a loving partner, which is the big key. Loving
Yeah.
partner, which she can see. Let's go back. So we know the story, but what inspired you, Jeff, to start this ministry?
Yeah, I think it's really little different experiences that have happened throughout my life. I've always loved working with youth, and so from a very young age, I was coaching sailing. I grew up on the East Coast, raced sailboats, started coaching sailing, did that all through high school and college as my summer jobs. Then after college, had an opportunity to move to Rwanda in East Africa and just bought a one-way ticket there and moved there. And I started working with kids in the villages and some street kids, and started teaching and started doing some business development and helping start some businesses that were Rwandan owned. And then that was kind of this connection of my first time ever, not not the one that knows the language and the one that's the minority in this totally different culture, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And then also this deep connection with kids from a different culture and having such great connections there. Uh, then moved back a year later back to the U.S. and got really involved in my neighborhood that I'm still living in with the coaching and volunteering and mentoring. And so I think those experiences have just got to show me, man, I've got this passion and this heart for working with kids. And I say kids, but a lot of them they're all teenagers, and some of them are in their 20s now.
Yeah.
But I got this huge passion for working with these guys, and it just keeps growing. And so I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm just gonna keep following you up, and I just love on these kids and try to have a positive impact in their lives.
The story gets even deeper. He said a lot, but you bring these gang members and invite them over for dinner. Please tell that story you told me the first time we
Yeah.
met about that, and they come over.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot going through this process, because this has been a new world for me as I got started in this type of mentorship. But one of the lessons I learned is a lot of these kids are carrying guns, and so my rule at that my house used to be, hey, there's no cell phones at the dinner table, because hey, we're here to talk and we want to no distractions, we want to have a good conversation. Uh, and then now all these kids, man, they carry guns, and so the new rule is no guns or cell phones at the dinner table. And so as kids come into the house, they hand me their guns and we unload them. They're, they pull these huge revolvers out of their waistbands, and we go through this process to get them unloaded. But my first time doing that, I'm unloading them myself. I'm taking the bullet and putting it on the table, and taking the clip out, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, Mr. Jeff, we'll take your fingerprints off that bullet before we reload it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you. Please do that." And so just those lessons I'm learning, and just to keep the house safe and all that stuff. But it's just fun.
But you've built authority and trust because of your fatherless, your father thought process, that they all respect you and they do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's been a huge blessing. Is There's just a mutual respect, man. I love and care for these guys, and I think they feel that, and they have this respect back. And so there's never been any issues at my house ever, and we've got gang members from both Bloods and Crips that are there oftentimes together, and there's just no issues even with guys that have stayed with me. Even if they're going back into that lifestyle, they've never brought it back to the house. And so it's just been great to see. And that goes back to that, like their core heart, like they want to be loved and love you back. And that's a human desire. And this other stuff is just because of traumas and things that have happened and things they've been exposed to. That's not who they are. They're these little boys who want to be cared for, and they want to care for you. And so that's why it's been a great experience.
Incredible. It's just to think all this through. And I like what you said about, you said love a number of times, but they've never known love.
Yeah.
And what your inspiration too is, here's what love is, and here's the great thing about love.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the future of this ministry you see next 3 to 5 years?
I don't know. I get asked that a decent amount of, hey, start a
Yeah.
nonprofit, do this, that. I don't think you need any of that stuff. I think there's actually too many nonprofits, and I've worked in nonprofits previous to what I do now, and I just think there's plenty of nonprofits. You don't need a nonprofit to go do ministry and love people, and I believe that's our call in this world, is love God and love others, and so like go do that. So I don't have any plans for it. I want to keep loving kids and bringing them into community and trying to support them as much as possible. And I've done some other stuff where at my actual business that I'm a part of. We've got this internship where now I'm bringing these kids that are wanting to learn about, hey, how to make money the real way. What does that look like to have finances and to grow wealth and to save and invest and all these things that they didn't get the experience to learn. And I bring them in through, I've got an investment fund called Generational Wealth Partners and a digital marketing company called Slant Marketing. And both of those companies will bring these kids in as interns and just, teach them everything that we know, everything I wish I learned when I was 19, 20, and teach it to them, and then just open up as many doors as we can. If, hey, you're really interested in this, hey, go talk to my connection over here that does that. Or and you want to start this landscaping company, great, we know somebody that's done that before, go talk to him. And so I mean, that's what I want to just keep opening doors for them. But programming, I don't know, whatever God wants me to do.
I love what you just said, because I wanted you to get into that, because you're not just loving them, which is, if you stop there, brought them to your home, let them live there, grow, and they move out better person, or you have these dinners, you've done a heck of a lot. But that next level to me is so important, because you're making them better men, not just with love, but living in this world.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, there's this holistic view in all these different areas, where there's finances, there's relationship, there's your faith, um, there's career, these all these different areas that I mean, even if they just stop selling crack and they get a real job, that's a win, but it's not the big picture. It's not the end of the road. And so to be able to help them in all those different environments and all the different areas, and really get them plugged into Christian community and into church and all these other things that, man, I cannot do this. Like I'm nobody. I don't have this power, and I can't change anybody's hearts or anybody's mind. Only Jesus can. And so my job is really just to connect them to Jesus and into community, and have other people help to influence them as well.
Give them a direction. That's all you are.
Yeah.
Point them in the right direction. It's everybody's choice to go that direction or go the opposite one. We can't control that. That's a powerful message for people in business. You may go one way. If it's not working, pivot. COVID taught us that, if not anything in business, and you're smiling. And I'm glad you mentioned your business in marketing and funds, and I love how you incorporate these guys, because you have the tools like I do. And I'm going to put it out there. I'd love to talk to him if anyone wants to be a podcast. I'd love to be we'll talk more about that. You've proved to me, that's the wrong word. You showed me what a true servant is. Can you tell the audience what a servant leader looks like to you in your eyes?
Oh man, I'm just trying to follow the model that Jesus has laid out for us. I mean, it's don't do anything I'm doing, follow what he's doing, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I make mistakes every day doing that, but that's ultimately the goal. He was the ultimate servant leader and somebody that just put other people in front of him. And there's this passage in Matthew where it says, "What you've done to the least of these brothers, you've done to me." And so it's Jesus saying, "Man, how you've loved the forgotten and the uncared for and the outcasts. That same love that you show to them is what you've shown to me." And so that's, I think, what a servant heart really looks like, is as loving people when there's nothing in return that you're going to get.
So well said. That's a great definition. And actually, it's one I'm going to write down and probably listen to this again. I want to really thank you for being on. This is such a great show. It's a hot topic. We know with police and gaming, all this is going to be a hot topic for years, but at least in your own little world, you're making a difference. And God bless you for doing that. How could people reach out to you?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn or Instagram or email. So my name is Jeff Hall. Last name is spelled Hahl. And so you can find me on LinkedIn. My email is jeff@theimpactig.com. Any of those would be great to connect.
Thank you, Jeff. And audience, listen to our next episode of Doing Business with Servant's Heart. I don't know if we're going to do better than this show, but I'm sure we're going to have a great show. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode.